There are moments in life when the world feels heavier than usual. When the alarm goes off in the morning, and even before you step out of bed, a familiar tension presses down on your chest. The list of things to do stretches endlessly before you, and the energy you thought you had yesterday seems gone. You try to remember the last time you felt truly rested, and it's hazy, distant, almost like a dream. For many men today, this is not a rare experience. It is a daily rhythm, a background hum that grows louder until it feels impossible to ignore. This episode is about that weight. The weight of constant expectations, of deadlines, of the feeling that no matter how much you do, it is never quite enough. It's about stress that doesn't switch off at the end of the day, about burnout that creeps in quietly, almost imperceptibly, until it shapes the way you move, the way you think, the way you feel about yourself. I want to be clear, this is not about failure. Feeling tired, anxious, or overwhelmed does not make you weak. It does not mean you are incapable. It does not mean you are broken. It means you are human, living in a world that demands more than our minds and bodies were designed to give. And yet you continue to show up. That alone is a quiet, unrecognized kind of courage. For years, conversations about stress and burnout often carried the same underlying message. Something is wrong with you. You should be able to handle it. You should manage better. You should be stronger. And if you couldn't, it was seen as a personal flaw. That narrative leaves a mark. It makes men feel alone, ashamed, and hesitant to admit that the pressure has become too much. But the truth is far simpler and far more compassionate. The pressure exists not because of anything inherently wrong with you, but because the structures around you, work, culture, society, often demand more than one person can sustainably give. When you feel depleted, it is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It is a reflection of being human in a system that doesn't pause for humanity. I want you to take a breath right now. Inhale slowly, letting your chest rise gently. Exhale, releasing the tension in your shoulders, your jaw, the knots in your stomach. Let this moment be yours. Just for now, let yourself exist outside the endless lists, the expectations, the deadlines. You deserve this pause. Burnout is not a sudden storm. It is a gradual shift, a subtle erosion of energy, patience, and clarity. It begins in small ways, staying a little too late at work, skipping a meal, ignoring that tightness in your back, pushing through irritation instead of resting. At first, these choices feel minor, almost inconsequential. But over time, they accumulate, creating a landscape where fatigue is the baseline and joy feels fleeting. Perhaps you have experienced this. You wake up in the morning, and your first thought is a to-do list already forming in your head. Your evenings are consumed by unfinished tasks or restless scrolling. Even weekends may not feel like rest because the mind continues to run. That's the essence of burnout. It isn't just tiredness. It is a persistent state of depletion that touches every corner of your life. And yet, within this recognition, there is hope. The very awareness that something feels off is the first step toward change. Understanding that the heaviness is real and not a personal failing is liberating. It allows you to step back, even briefly, and notice what is happening. Awareness is the doorway. So let's explore this together. I want you to imagine, for a moment, standing at the edge of forest at dawn. The fog is thick, curling around the trees, softening the world into shapes rather than sharp lines. The path ahead is uncertain. You cannot see the whole trail, but there is light filtering through, subtle and steady. That path is your inner landscape, sometimes unclear, sometimes heavy, but always navigable. You can move forward even when the view is obscured. Burnout, stress, exhaustion, they are parts of this landscape. They are not obstacles to eliminate entirely. They are signals to understand and navigate. They tell you where your energy is leaking, where boundaries have been crossed, where rest has been neglected. And just as a hiker learns to read the terrain, you can learn to read your own experience and respond in ways that restore balance. One of the most important things to understand is that movement does not require perfection. You do not need to fix everything at once. You do not need to be fully restored before you act. The people who seem composed, productive, and capable, they are not devoid of doubt or fatigue. They are simply moving with the resources they have, learning to allocate energy, and making small, consistent choices that matter over time. So in this episode, we will do 3 things. First, we will look closely at the weight itself, how it forms, why it grows, and how it shows up in daily life. Second, we will explore the consequences, how stress manifests physically, emotionally, and socially, and why recognizing these signals is essential. Third, we will examine ways forward, small, practical steps you can take today, tomorrow, and in the weeks ahead to reclaim energy, focus, and a sense of control. This episode is not a lecture. It is not a checklist of rules to follow. It is a conversation, a space for reflection, and an invitation to notice your own experience with compassion. There is no judgment here, no expectation that you must immediately fix yourself. The goal is to cultivate awareness, understanding, and actionable insight, so that when the next day arrives, you are not simply reacting to stress, but responding to it with clarity and intention. I want you to take another deep breath now. Inhale through your nose, filling your lungs fully. Hold it for a moment. Exhale slowly through your mouth, letting go of tension you may not have even noticed. This act alone, pausing, noticing your breath, is a small but powerful step. It reminds you that you have agency, that even in moments of burnout, you are not powerless. By the end of this journey, my hope is that you will feel less isolated in your experience. You will understand that the fatigue, the irritation, the sense of running on empty, it is not your fault, and it does not define you. You will see that small, deliberate choices can build resilience, clarity, and a renewed sense of energy. And most importantly, you will carry the understanding that you can move forward step by step, even when the path feels heavy. So let's begin. Let's explore the weight, the pressure, and the stress that so many men carry silently. And let's begin to see it not as a failing, but as an invitation to reclaim your energy, your focus, and your life. Take one last breath for this introduction. Inhale, exhale. You are here, you're listening, and that is enough to start. Now that we have paused and acknowledged the presence of this weight, let's begin to explore where it comes from. Understanding the roots of burnout is not about blaming yourself or anyone else. It is about shining a light on the forces, both internal and external, that pull at your energy day after day. When you know the sources, you can respond to them with intention, instead of being swept along by them. Burnout rarely appears out of nowhere. It grows quietly, piece by piece, like water eroding a rock. One missed night of sleep, one extra task accepted, one moment when you ignored your own needs in favor of someone else's expectations. These are the drops that accumulate. And over months or years, the weight becomes heavy enough that it begins to shape your body, your mind, and your relationships. One of the most common sources of this weight is the expectations we place on ourselves. You may have an internal voice that is constantly evaluating your performance, questioning your decisions, or measuring you against some ideal. It might whisper, "You should be doing more," or "You can't rest yet," or "You are behind." This voice is not inherently malicious. It exists to motivate, to push you forward. But when it never pauses, when it is relentless, it drains more than it drives. Coupled with these internal pressures are the expectations from the world around you. Workplaces, families, and society at large often demand more than is sustainable. Deadlines arrive faster than you can complete tasks. Messages arrive before you have a moment to breathe. Roles multiply. The provider, the protector, the dependable friend, the attentive partner, the mentor, the self-improver. Each role is important. Each needs attention, and together they can feel like a weight too heavy to carry. Another silent contributor is the culture of endurance. Many men grow up hearing that strength is about carrying burdens without complaint. There is subtle, and sometimes explicit, pressure to push through fatigue, to ignore stress, to maintain composure at all costs. In this mindset, admitting exhaustion can feel like weakness. Asking for help can feel like failure. And taking a break can feel unjustified. But the human body and mind are not designed for endless endurance. Without pause, energy depletes, patience frays, and burnout becomes inevitable. We must also consider the loss of balance in modern life. Work-life boundaries blur. Emails arrive late at night. Notifications ping continuously. Even time off is rarely complete because thoughts of unfinished tasks or obligations intrude. Personal time shrinks, sleep is interrupted, and hobbies or activities that once brought joy are set aside. Over time, this imbalance fosters a chronic sense of tension and dissatisfaction. And then there is the accumulation of unaddressed stress. Stress in itself is not inherently negative. It is an adaptive mechanism that helps us respond to challenges. But when stress is constant, unrelieved, and compounded by lack of recovery, it becomes corrosive. Your nervous system remains in a state of heightened alertness, even when there is no immediate threat. Your thoughts cycle endlessly. Your body reacts as if danger is constant, even during moments that should feel safe or restorative. All of these sources, internal expectations, external demands, cultural norms, imbalance, and persistent stress, interact to create a unique landscape of pressure for every individual. You may feel the strain more in your body than in your mind, or more in your emotions than your actions. You may notice irritability, headaches, muscle tension, or fatigue. You may notice your patience dwindling, your focus slipping, or your motivation faltering. These signals are not a reflection of weakness. They are indicators, markers showing that your system is under load and asking for attention. It is helpful to pause here and recognize one critical insight. The weight is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are carrying too much without adequate support or recovery. You are human, and humans have limits. Recognizing these limits is not defeat. It is awareness. Awareness is the foundation for change. Think of it like a bridge. If too many cars cross too quickly, without pause, the structure begins to strain. Small cracks may appear. Rust may accumulate. The bridge does not collapse because the engineers were careless. It responds naturally to the pressure placed upon it. Maintenance, support, and careful traffic management restore stability. Your body and mind are the bridge, and understanding the sources of stress is the first step in managing the flow of energy across it. Let's consider some real-life patterns that illustrate these pressures. Perhaps you take on extra responsibilities at work because saying no feels impossible. Perhaps you push through evenings and weekends to respond to messages or complete tasks that could wait. Perhaps you ignore the physical signs of fatigue, headaches, tight shoulders, disrupted sleep, believing that rest can come later. Perhaps you refrain from sharing your inner struggles with friends or family, thinking that others will not understand. These small choices, repeated daily, accumulate into a sense of exhaustion that feels impossible to shake. But there is also hope embedded in this understanding. Every source of stress you identify is an opportunity for intervention. Every expectation, every imbalance, every moment of unrelieved tension can become a point where you pause, reassess, and respond differently. You may not change everything overnight, but even small adjustments, acknowledging your fatigue, setting a boundary, taking a brief walk, or simply noticing your breath, begin to shift the load. Part of the challenge is that these sources of burnout are often invisible to those around you. Your colleagues, friends, or even family may not see the quiet erosion of your energy. That is why self-awareness is critical. Observing the subtle signs of stress, your physical tension, your mental fatigue, your emotional irritability, give you the power to intervene before exhaustion becomes severe. Awareness transforms helplessness into agency. As we continue, keep this in mind. Understanding the weight is not about judgment. It is not about feeling guilty for what you should have done differently. is about seeing clearly where the pressure is coming from, acknowledging it, and giving yourself permission to respond. With clarity comes choice. With choice comes action. And with action, even small and imperfect, comes relief. Take a moment to pause. Notice your posture. Feel your feet on the ground. Allow yourself to acknowledge the weight you carry, not with shame, but with clarity and intention. This is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of a path forward, one step at a time, grounded in understanding and self-compassion. Now that we understand where the weight comes from, it is time to look at how it affects you. Burnout and chronic stress are not abstract ideas. They are tangible forces that ripple through your body, mind, and relationships. Recognizing the consequences is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to illuminate, so you can see clearly what is happening and respond with care, intention, and compassion. Physically, burnout manifests in ways that are often subtle at first, and then increasingly persistent. You may notice tension in your shoulders, neck, or jaw, or a constant tightness in your chest. Headaches appear more frequently. Sleep becomes restless, interrupted, or inadequate. Appetite fluctuates, energy wanes, and the body feels heavier than it should. Sometimes, these signs are dismissed as normal or attributed to aging or busy schedules, but they're your body's language, signaling that your resources are depleted. Emotionally, burnout can erode your sense of stability. Small frustrations feel magnified. Patience thins. A fleeting irritation can grow into an extended period of irritability or anger. Moments of sadness, apathy, or anxiety become more frequent, often without clear triggers. You may feel detached from things you used to enjoy or disconnected from the people around you. These emotional signals are not failures. They're indicators that your emotional reservoir is running low, that your capacity for engagement and resilience is diminished by prolonged pressure. Burnout also shows up in cognition and focus. Tasks that once seemed simple now feel laborious. Decision-making becomes draining. Concentration slips, memory falters, and motivation diminishes. You may notice a creeping sense of mental fog, where even routine tasks require disproportionate effort. This is the mind's way of signaling that the current load is unsustainable, that recovery and recalibration are necessary. Socially, the impact can be equally profound. Burnout can strain relationships, even when there is love and care on all sides. You may withdraw from friends, avoid meaningful conversations, or become irritable with family members. Your ability to empathize or respond with patience diminishes. Misunderstandings arise more easily, and the connection with others can feel frayed. These social consequences can feed back into your stress, creating a cycle that is hard to break without conscious attention. It is important to pause here and reflect. These consequences are not signs of personal weakness or failure. They are natural responses to sustained pressure, unmet needs, and relentless expectations. They are the signals that your system, the combination of mind, body, and spirit, is asking for recognition, intervention, and care. Now, imagine burnout as a river. When the water flows freely, the current is strong but manageable. When obstacles, debris, and blockages accumulate, the river overflows, flooding the banks and washing away the stability of the surrounding landscape. Your energy, focus, and emotional resilience are like the banks of that river. When stress is too great or continuous, the system overflows and you feel overwhelmed, disconnected, or depleted. Understanding these patterns allows you to see where the debris has built up and where gentle intervention can redirect the flow back to balance. Many men experience a quiet, insidious form of this awareness. They know something is off. They feel it in tension, fatigue, or irritability, but they hesitate to acknowledge it fully. Perhaps they hope it will resolve on its own, or they fear admitting it might make them appear weak. This hesitation, however well-intentioned, can intensify the problem. Ignored signals rarely dissipate. They grow until they demand attention in more obvious, sometimes urgent, ways. Awareness, then, is a form of agency. It is the conscious act of noticing, naming, and accepting the effects of stress and burnout. It allows you to step back and see patterns rather than being swept away by them. Awareness is not about judgment, it is about clarity. It is the first step toward reclaiming control over your energy, focus, and emotional equilibrium. Consider this. When you recognize that your irritability, fatigue, or distraction is a response to overload rather than a flaw in character, you shift your perspective. You stop blaming yourself and start observing. You begin asking different questions. Which areas of my life are demanding too much? Where am I ignoring my own needs? What small steps could create relief? Awareness turns confusion into insight and insight into action. Some of the common signs you may notice include physical tension or discomfort that persists without clear cause, persistent fatigue despite adequate sleep, difficulty concentrating or making decisions, emotional reactivity that feels stronger than it should, withdrawal from social interactions or activities you once enjoyed. Noticing these signs is empowering. It does not mean you are broken. It means you are attentive to yourself. Each observation is a point of data, a piece of information that allows you to make informed choices about how to act next. At the same time, it is important to recognize that consequences of burnout are cumulative. One night of poor sleep or a stressful day does not constitute burnout. But when patterns persist, weeks turning into months, repeated cycles of exhaustion and pressure, the effects compound. Mental fog becomes denser. Energy becomes scarcer. Emotional reactivity intensifies. Recognizing this accumulation is key because it tells you when small interventions are sufficient and when more structured changes may be necessary. So here is the central insight. Consequences are not punishments. They are messages. They are your system communicating that the current pace and load are unsustainable. They are the body and mind's way of asking for care. When you approach these signals with curiosity and compassion, you open a door to recovery rather than sinking further into overwhelm. For now, let yourself sit with this understanding. Acknowledge the consequences of stress and burnout without shame. Notice how your body feels. Notice how your mind reacts. Notice the subtle changes in your mood and interactions. Awareness itself is a practice. Awareness itself is a step forward. Take a breath. Inhale slowly. Let your chest rise fully. Exhale, releasing tension. This small moment of presence is a tool you already have, a resource that costs nothing but gives everything in return. By cultivating this practice, you begin to reclaim space for yourself amid the pressures of daily life. Now that we have explored where the weight comes from and how it affects your body, mind, and relationships, it's time to focus on what you can do. The beauty of burnout is that, while it feels overwhelming, there are small, practical actions that make a meaningful difference over time. You do not need to overhaul your life overnight. You only need to begin with steps that are realistic, repeatable, and within your control. One of the simplest yet most powerful tools you have is conscious pausing. Pausing is not laziness. It is an intentional act of reclaiming energy. Take a moment during the day, even 5 minutes, to close your eyes, notice your breath, and feel your body. Inhale slowly, letting the air fill your lungs completely. Hold it for a brief moment. Exhale, releasing tension in your shoulders, neck, and jaw. Repeat this cycle a few times. These moments of presence may feel small, but they give your nervous system a chance to reset. They interrupt the constant momentum of stress and remind you that you are not powerless. Another practical step is establishing boundaries. In modern life, work often seeps into personal time. Messages, emails, and notifications create a sense of constant demand. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but learning to say no or to defer responses until your energy is ready is essential. Start with one boundary. Perhaps no work messages after 7 p.m. or taking a lunch break without checking email. Boundaries are not rigid walls. They're protective spaces that preserve your energy and mental clarity. Movement is another essential microaction. Your body thrives on motion, yet fatigue often convinces you to remain still. Even a short walk, stretching for a few minutes, or gentle exercises at your desk can make a measurable difference. Physical activity releases tension, improves mood, and creates a rhythm of movement that signals your body it is safe to relax. Remember, it is not about achieving a personal record or pushing yourself to exhaustion. It is about reconnecting with your body and nurturing energy. Reflection is also a powerful tool. Take a few minutes each day to acknowledge small wins. These wins do not have to be monumental. Perhaps you responded to a challenging email calmly, completed a task you had been avoiding, or simply took a mindful breath when you felt overwhelmed. Write them down if you can. Seeing these small victories in black and white shifts your focus for what is unfinished to what you are actually accomplishing. Progress is rarely dramatic. It accumulates quietly, one small success at a time. Social connection is another often overlooked microaction. Burnout thrives in isolation. Even brief moments of honest conversation with someone you trust can relieve pressure. Share a thought, a frustration, or a simple observation about your day. You do not need to have all the answers or articulate profound insights. Simply being heard and understood creates space for emotional recovery and reminds you that you are not alone. In addition to these practical steps, there is a mental shift that is equally important: redefining what productivity means. Productivity is often equated with constant output, visible accomplishments, or meeting external expectations. Yet true productivity includes restoration, reflection, and energy management. Allowing yourself moments of stillness, rest, and disengagement is not wasted time. It is essential preparation for sustained performance. It can also help to chunk your day into manageable sections. Instead of facing a seemingly endless to-do list, focus on one task at a time. Give yourself permission to complete that task fully before moving to the next. Between tasks, take brief pauses to reset. These small transitions prevent stress from compounding and reinforce the rhythm of intentional action over reactive motion. Sleep is another pillar of resilience. Chronic fatigue amplifies burnout, yet it is often sacrificed in the pursuit of obligations. Prioritize even small improvements. Go to bed 15 minutes earlier, reduce screen time before sleep, or create a simple nighttime routine to signal your body it is time to rest. Consistent, quality sleep strengthens emotional regulation, focus, and energy, making every microaction during the day more effective. Nutrition, hydration, and simple self-care rituals are often undervalued. Drinking water regularly, eating balanced meals, and taking brief moments for personal hygiene or comfort can anchor you in your body and reinforce a sense of control. These small actions, repeated daily, create a foundation upon which mental and emotional resilience grows. Mindset also plays a key role. Burnout can feel like a trap, but your perspective matters. Instead of framing recovery as an obligation or a performance metric, frame it as a series of compassionate choices for yourself. Each decision to pause, breathe, walk, reflect, or rest is a choice that honors your humanity. Over time, these choices accumulate, producing a quieter, steadier sense of energy and clarity. Finally, it is worth remembering that consistency is more important than intensity. One perfect day will not eliminate burnout, but small, intentional actions taken consistently build momentum. They remind you that even in the presence of stress and exhaustion, you retain agency. You can create patterns of care, energy, and focus that transform the experience of daily life. Imagine this process like tending a garden. You begin with small seeds, a breath, a boundary, a walk, a conversation, a moment of reflection. Each seed may feel insignificant at first, yet over weeks and months, these seeds grow into sturdy plants. Roots deepen, leaves reach for light, and the garden becomes a source of sustenance and beauty. Your daily micro actions are these seeds, and with patience and attention, they restore energy, resilience, and hope. So today, choose one small action. Perhaps it is closing your eyes for 5 deep breaths, sending a message to a friend, stepping outside for a brief walk, or writing down one thing you accomplished. This single choice is the beginning of reclaiming control, clarity, and energy. Tomorrow, add another. The day after, another. In time, these micro actions accumulate into meaningful change. Remember, progress is rarely dramatic. It is the quiet, consistent accumulation of small choices that builds resilience. You do not need to overhaul your life today. You only need to begin. You only need to act in ways that are sustainable, compassionate, and intentional. Each micro-action is a reaffirmation of your agency, your presence, and your capacity to move forward, even when the weight feels heavy. By embracing these small steps, you begin to shift the current of your inner river. The water flows more freely. The tension eases. Clarity begins to emerge. And with consistent practice, you reclaim not just energy, but confidence, focus, and a sense of purpose. As we come toward the close of this episode, I want you to pause for a moment and reflect on everything we've explored together. You have acknowledged the weight, identified its sources, recognized its consequences, and learned small, actionable ways to begin shifting it. That in itself is a profound step. Awareness plus intention is the foundation for transformation. Remember this: you're not defined by your fatigue. You're not defined by your stress. You're not defined by the moments when you feel depleted, frustrated, or disconnected. These are experiences, not labels. They are parts of your journey, not the measure of your worth. You carry a capacity within you, strength, resilience, and adaptability that is already present. It has not left you. It has not abandoned you. Even in moments of exhaustion, it quietly waits for recognition, for engagement, for your choice to act. Life will continue to demand things from you. There will be deadlines, responsibilities, and unexpected challenges. That is unavoidable. But what is also within your power is how you respond. The difference is in the pause between stimulus and reaction. That pause, the breath, the reflection, the choice, is where agency lives. Even one conscious decision each day to reclaim energy, set a boundary, or rest can ripple outward, changing the way your mind, body, and relationships respond to pressure. Consider again the metaphor of the river. Stress and burnout are not permanent floods. They are currents that can be redirected, channeled, and balanced. Through awareness, micro-actions, and compassionate attention, you learn to guide the flow. You cannot stop the river entirely, but you can navigate it with skill and care, keeping the bank strong and the water moving without overwhelming the surrounding landscape. Hope is not a distant dream. It is the small, steady emergence of light through fog. Each breath, each boundary, each brief walk, each reflection or conversation is a ray of that light. These actions, repeated daily, compound into clarity, energy, and renewed purpose. They remind you that progress is not about sudden transformation, but about consistent, intentional steps forward. So, as you move through the coming days, I invite you to take this with you. The small actions matter. They accumulate. They create resilience. They remind you that you are capable. They allow you to move through stress and burnout, not as a passive victim, but as an engaged, aware, and resourceful participant in your own life. And let us not forget, strength is not about pushing until nothing remains. True strength includes the courage to rest, to reflect, to seek support, and to say no when necessary. Strength is measured not only in output, but in sustainability. It is measured in the ability to maintain connection to yourself, to your loved ones, to your work, without losing the essence of who you are. Before we conclude, take a deep breath. Inhale fully. Hold it for a moment. Exhale slowly. Let yourself feel the weight of this moment and the presence of your own capacity. Even now, even after a long day, Even amid challenges, you have choices. You can step into them one small action at a time. I encourage you to identify one thing you can do today that honors your energy and your well-being. It may be a walk, a conversation, a pause, a short reflection, or simply acknowledging that you need rest. This one act is enough. And tomorrow, another small act. Over time, these acts accumulate into momentum. They are your quiet, daily victories over burnout, stress, and overwhelm. Finally, remember this truth. You are not alone. Millions of men feel the pressures, the weight, and the fatigue you feel. And yet, each of those people also carries the potential for recovery, clarity, and renewed strength. The path is not perfect, nor is it linear. There will be days when energy falters, when frustration rises, when motivation wanes. That is normal. What matters is that you continue gently, deliberately, and compassionately, choosing to take the next step even when the view ahead is uncertain. So, as we close this episode, let this be your reminder. The weight is real, but so is your capacity. The pressure exists, but so does your agency. The stress may feel overwhelming, but your choices, even the smallest ones, create change. Step by step, breath by breath, action by action, you reclaim clarity, energy, and strength. You reclaim yourself. Take one last deep breath now. Inhale, hold, exhale. You are here. You're listening. And that is enough to begin. Carry this awareness into your day. Honor your capacity. Choose one small action. And remember, strength is not the absence of stress, but the courage to move forward in its presence.